Good afternoon to everyone. I'll wait a few more moments to make sure everyone's fully connected before we get started. All right, I'll go ahead and get started with introductions. It looks like we may have a few still connecting, but I can start with the introduction that you've heard before. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Hearing Officer Nicole Kinsey with the Administrative Hearings Office of the State Water Resources Control Board. It is March 6, 2024 at about 1 o'clock. This is a status conference for the pending petition for assignment of state filed application 5634 and the associated water right application 5634X of Nevada Irrigation District, and the pending request for release from priority of state filed applications 5633 and 5634 in favor of water right license 11120 of South Sutter Water District. As usual, this status conference is being conducted by Zoom web conference and is also being broadcast live on the AHO YouTube channel. The audio and video are being recorded, and we will post files of the recording along with the Zoom-generated transcript to the AHO FTP site. The YouTube recording will also be available on the AHO YouTube webpage. If at any time this afternoon you are experiencing technical difficulties trying to communicate with us during the status conference, the AHO at admin hrg office at waterboards.ca.gov. AHO staff are monitoring that email inbox and can let me know. Assisting me today are staff of the Administrative Hearings Office. We have Nicole Mullen and Skylar Anderson. And with that, I am ready to move to appearances. To do that, as usual, I will identify each of the entities that has filed an NOI in this proceeding. And if you are representing that entity, please unmute your microphone and state your name. I will start with Nevada Irrigation District.
Good afternoon, Andrew McClure of the Manassian Law Office for Nevada Irrigation District. And I see on the screen Jennifer Hansen, who is NID's General Manager.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon. South Sutter Water District.
Good afternoon, Ms. Kinsey. Austin Cho, Counsel for South Sutter Water District.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Contra Costa Water District. Camp Far West Irrigation District.
Ms. Quincy, it's Nick Bonsignor with Wagner and Bonsignor Engineers, and we also have Kelly Tabor on the call.
Great, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Yuba County Water Agency. State Water Contractors. Mr. Kelly, I saw you. Placer County Water Agency.
Yeah, good afternoon. Dan Kelly, General Counsel, PCWA. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. We've become quite boring, but it's not worth calling, which is fine. It's boring is good. California Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Good afternoon, Kathleen Miller for CDFW.
Thank you. Good afternoon. California Sport Fishing Protection Alliance.
Good afternoon, Chris Schutz for the California Sport Fishing Protection Alliance.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Trout Unlimited.
Ms. Kinsey, this is Tracy Shan with Foothills Water Network. I can stand in for Trout Unlimited today, and I also have a list of other groups.
Thank you, Ms. Shan. If you can please go ahead and just list those off, I will try to check them off my list. Thank you.
Okay. South Yuba River Citizens League, Circle. The Federation of Fly Fishermen, Northern California chapter. SARCIS, Save Auburn Ravine, Steelhead and Salmon. Sierra Club Mother Lode chapter. Oh no, I'm not. That's David Zelensky. Sorry, David. American Rivers, American Whitewater, Protect American River Canyons, Park, and Tributary Whitewater.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think I got
And
them
Sierra
all. And if I missed any, you can pick up again. Thank you very much. Friends of the River.
Ron Stork and Kelly Mertz, appearing for Friends of the River.
Keiko Mertz. Good afternoon, Miss Kenzie.
Good afternoon.
Let's get that right.
Ron's in trouble.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Sierra Club. It sounded like Mr. Zelensky is on the line.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Nevada City Rancheria Tribal Council. United Auburn Indian Community.
Brian Guth on behalf of the United Auburn Indian Community. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you. And I'm not sure if I missed this, the American River Watershed Institute.
Otis Wallen for the American River Watershed Institute.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good afternoon. And then I think I'm to my individuals here, Diana Suarez and Cam Suarez.
Good afternoon, Diana Suarez for Diana Suarez and Cam Suarez.
Thank you. Good afternoon. David Sprunk and Sherry Sprunk. Bob Center. And Jeff Litton. All right, I've gone through my list. Is there anyone else who intends to participate in the call who has not yet had a chance to introduce themselves?
So I don't believe that you caught Kit Elliott, Catherine Elliott, Nevada County.
You're right. Did I miss Nevada County? I did miss Nevada County. Nevada County. I apologize.
And in my screen, I'm standing right next to you.
And Laura
Thank you.
Peters, interested stakeholder.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I apologize. I don't know if you were on my script, and now I will fix that. Thank you. Is there anyone else who I missed?
This was Laura Peters.
Thank you. And Ms. Peters, are you on behalf of Nevada County?
No, I'm just an interested stakeholder.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? All right, well, thank you for joining me this afternoon, and thank you for working through those identification of everyone on the call. I did receive status conference statements from NID, SSWD, and Yuba County Water Agency, and those are on our AHO FTP site. If you haven't seen them already, I have read those statements. Thank you for submitting them. They were helpful to orient me to what we might be talking about today. I'd like to start with an update from NID on the plan for water process. I read your status conference statement, which was very direct, but I did want to turn to you and make sure that I understand a timeline, particularly for purposes of us meeting again and what makes sense for that. So I think, Mr. McClure, if I can turn to you, if you would provide a brief update and then maybe a suggestion on when you think it would make sense for us to meet again.
I'm actually going to ask Ms. Hanson to provide that update. She's got the latest on that. So Ms. Hanson, if you're available.
I sure can. Thank you, Ms. Kinsey. We are entering the very, very final stage. At our last meeting, the board of directors provided additional direction to staff to look into a couple of additional options to be able to address predicted unmet demands. And we anticipate that modeling, I just saw a preview of it, which was last week. We will be bringing that forth to our board at a Plan for Water meeting on March 21st. And then after that, the board will be making some actual formal decisions, which will be before the board and a formal board meeting related to this particular water right issue, as well as any additional projects or strategies that we will utilize to meet unmet demand into the future. So I would anticipate sometimes those board meetings, when they're really big decisions, take more than one board meeting to get through. So I would anticipate, as stated in the letter, that we will have final decisions in a 3 months timeframe.
Okay, thank you.
I do think it'll be sooner, though.
Well, no, this is quite helpful. This sort of 3 months is the outer, so it may make sense for us. I was trying to figure out whether to schedule, and we can talk about this in a moment, but whether to schedule in June or schedule in August, because July is quite busy for the AHO. So I think
Probably
maybe we'll go for
August.
June. You think August? June is 3 months.
Yeah, June's 3 months. I just always feel like we keep, when you start doing modeling, there always seems to be some
There's more.
additional modeling or more explanation needed. I just want to have a final decision to be able to bring to you.
Right. No, I appreciate that. Okay, thank you. I did have a follow-up question briefly, and this is not something I'm asking you to etch in stone by any means, but I think the previous schedule had shown about a year from the point at which I believe final decisions will be made on the plan for water process, and then about a year before issuance of a draft EIR. Does that rough estimate still apply, that you would expect, if you're going forward with the Centennial Dam project, that it would probably be a year from the final decision to issuance of a draft EIR?
Yes, if we do move forward with the
Right.
Centennial project.
Yeah, I understand that is what is going to be decided, right?
Right.
Understood. Thank you. Is there anything else, Ms. Hanson or Mr. McClure, on behalf of NID at this time?
No, I'd just like to add, we've also had some really good conversations with South Sutter Water District. We've been trying to keep them informed of our process so that they are aware of what our timing is. So I think that they probably have a good understanding, and they can obviously speak for themselves as to where we're going and all the strategies we've been looked at. So I think that process has been working well.
Great, thank you. And I do want to comment, the South Sutter and NID, I appreciate the conversations that have been happening since our last status conference. I read that in the status conference statements, and it's always to narrow down the issues. And I appreciate the work that goes on outside of our meetings here. So thank you to all of you for participating in those conversations. So I'll turn to Mr. Cho for South Sutter Water District. And I understand, I read your status conference statement. Thank you. And I just stated my appreciation that you've been working hard on this, and it sounds like you've resolved some of the protests to your petition, excuse me, and narrowed some of the other issues with others and continue to have conversations. So that's all good news. Is there anything else that you'd like to provide in terms of an update from South Sutter?
I don't know that I have any further substantive updates. However, I just wanted to echo the comments from Ms. Hanson and also convey our appreciation that NID has been willing to work with us and try to loop us in on their process and keep us informed. And I also want to just express my appreciation for the other protesting parties who have been very willing to meet and have candid conversations. And I believe that those were all fairly productive. And I would also give those other parties an opportunity, if they have additional thoughts beyond what has been presented in our status conference statement, on those discussions and the status of their protests.
Absolutely, we will certainly do that. I have one question for you, Mr. Cho, which may be you may not be able to answer it, which is fine. But the question that of course comes up is if, and we will probably have some clarity when we meet again, but if NID decides not to go forward with the pursuit of this application and petition, whether South Sutter Water District would continue to pursue their petition to request a release from priority.
Yes, the South Sutter Board has previously conveyed its intent to pursue this petition for release from priority, regardless of NID's status and plans.
Great, thank you. That's very helpful for our planning here. Since I also received a status conference statement, but I don't think I had anyone on the line from Yuba County Water Agency. Is that right? And I read the statement, it was quite clear, so. All right, with that, I'll look. Well, let me clarify what I propose. I propose that we meet again probably in August. In the meantime, quite frankly, we have some resource challenges here at the AHO. It sounds like we're, regardless, looking at probably scheduling a hearing for South Sutter Water District. But that is not going to happen before we meet again. We should be getting more of us on board over the next 6 months to a year. So we'll have more capacity to put these hearings on. But it sounds like South Sutter, we need a hearing because even if either way, if NID is moving forward, we're about a year behind on the schedule as initially proposed, which is good. It sounds like it's coming to good. I don't mean that as a negative. It's coming to good decision making, but I do want to be mindful of how long South Sutter Water District's petition has been pending. And then if it doesn't go forward, then I think we're ready to go to a hearing. So that's where I see the lay of the land. But what I want to do is schedule our next meeting probably in August, and then go forward at that point. I think at that time I may be in a position to schedule this hearing or assign another hearing officer to conduct the hearing for South Sutter, possibly in the fall of 2024. So with that background, I'll look to the room. Is there anyone who would like to make any additional comments on the issues that have been raised today or on your conversations with NID or South Sutter Water District, or anything else that we should talk about today before we turn to scheduling our follow-up? Mr. Schutz, I see you came off mute. Hi.
Yeah, I gotta say something.
Great.
So I think that the scheduling is correct, and I do think that process here will be informed substantially by NID's decision on whether to move ahead with Centennial. In the event that it doesn't, I think that we might want to reconsider the necessity of a hearing for South Sutter to have its to have a hearing on its petition, or whether that's appropriate and important use of the AHO's time and the time of the rest of us, whether it could be resolved in some other way. I'd recommend the opportunity to leave that open, or at least have that discussion when we hear South Sutter's, when we hear NID's decision. It's somewhat different dealing with a release from priority in order to protect South Sutter's rights in the context of a hypothetical or a speculative future application of NID, as opposed to something where there's an actual pending application. I imagine Mr. Cho may disagree with me, but I would like to at least have that be a point of discussion in the event that NID decides not to go forward with Centennial. Have that be a point of discussion in our next hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Schutz. I believe I understand where you're coming from on this. And I believe I understand that your comment that there may be alternative ways to resolve South Sutter's concerns about priority. I did want to point out, and I don't think this is the point you're making, but I wanted to just point out for our thinking that I believe because this proceeding involves a release from priority of a state filed application, even if South Sutter resolved all of the protests, we'd still have to have some kind of a public hearing that's in the statute. I think I've been involved in one where there was one party, but we had a hearing. So if the board were considering approval, we would have to have some kind of a hearing, but I understand that that is not exactly what you were saying, Mr. Schutz. As I understood it, you had a more complex point, which was there may be some room for other types of discussions where there would be a resolution of this that didn't involve the board's consideration of a petition for release from priority, if I understood you right.
And I don't presume to fully understand or intend to deprive the AHO or the board of the opportunity to have a hearing that it needs to have. However, the substance of the hearing may change, and that's what I had in mind.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that, and I think that's appropriate to discuss when we know more, as you pointed out. With that, are there other comments on what we've discussed so far?
Well, this is Andy McClure for NID. Sorry, Austin. Just our NID's position as far as South Sutter goes is we still have an outstanding protest. And so unless we're able to reach a resolution before a hearing, I don't know that NID's withdrawal of its application for the Centennial Project water right would necessarily affect our position that any South Sutter release from priority would be subject to county of origin protections for Nevada County. So if you want to have briefing on that, we would be happy to do that. And I guess maybe your next status conference order should address that if you want us to brief that issue before August. Of course, if we're able to reach an understanding with South Sutter, we can always not move forward with the hearing if we resolve it before that time.
Thank you, Mr. McClure, and I certainly understand your caveat. I think, as I understood it, just once NID has more clarity on which direction you're going, what projects you're pursuing, it sounds like there may be room for further discussion and negotiation, and we'll see what comes out of that. So I completely understand that NID has an outstanding protest that's separate and apart from your state filed application and related petitions. So thank you. Mr. Cho, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. And in line with Mr. McClure's comment, I just wanted to point out respectfully to Mr. Schutz's statement that South Sutter does have an independent request for release from priority that is not necessarily tethered to NID's petition for assignment. And as you noted, Ms. Kenzie, the Water Code does require that a hearing on such a petition for release from priority be held, whether there are protests active or not. So I just wanted to raise that and also point out that South Sutter did obtain a release from priority in favor of its other water right license that is used to operate Camp Far West Reservoir. So this would not be the first go around. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cho. Ms. Peters, I see you have your Zoom hand raised. Please go ahead.
Yes, hi. I just had a clarification. This is for a Bear River water right. Is that correct? And so the bulk of this Bear River water right, wouldn't Placer County be more the area of origin? I'm just, it's a question. I'm not sure. It's a curiosity of mine if Nevada County would hold area of origin priority. Just a question.
Ms. Peters, so I think that would be, and I will turn to the other attorneys if they care to chime in, but that would be exactly this question of where the area of origin would be exactly the type of factual and legal question that we would examine in any hearing on the proceeding where we were considering the area of origin of this water. So that would be, I anticipate, a contested legal and factual issue that would be at issue in the proceeding. And that's why I, at this point, certainly can't give an answer. But I do want I think you are right on in terms of one of these significant issues. Does that respond to your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Do any of the other parties want to respond either to Ms. Peters' inquiry or any of the other issues we've raised? All right, I suggest we all, and you can continue to think about that, but let's all pull out our calendars. As I indicated, I think if we're going to not gather in June, July is quite busy, both in terms of another significant proceeding before the AHO. I do hope to go on vacation. So I think we're looking into August, and even then it's quite tight. I always try to avoid scheduling, and please do remind me, I know I've scheduled over board meetings in this proceeding before. I think because I'm going to be looking at a Friday, that might not be a problem, but I apologize for the Friday. My proposal would be to do a Friday morning, but it looks like in August, because we have another hearing scheduled the other days of the week, Friday is the best day. So I'd be looking at a Friday at 9 a.m., either the 16th or the 23rd, if we can find a date that works for everyone. And so I will put out those two proposals. Is there for anyone either of those dates that absolutely does not work?
Those both appear to work for NID.
Thank you. I'm going to give you a few more moments to decide. Otherwise, I'm going to go with August 16th at 9 a.m. I guess I see a thumbs up. Thank you. All right, let's plan to meet and if anything comes up in the meantime, you can email our office, but let's plan to meet at August 16th at 9 o'clock. I will probably ask for status conference statements from NID and South Sutter Water District, and then any other party who would like to chime in. And I look forward to hearing about the resolution of the plan for water process and any updates on the petition. So you'll see a hearing, a status conference notice come out from our office within the next couple weeks. We'll have that on calendar. Mr. Cho, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Kenzie. This may be too early to say, but in terms of South Sutter status conference statement, the hearing officer did provide a deadline to complete good faith negotiations with the protesting parties. We are now outside that timeline, and we're certainly comfortable continuing those conversations, but I don't know if that is the subject matter that you were anticipating might be called for South Sutter.
Might be brief. I just anticipate that if NID were to decide that they're not going forward with the Centennial Dam project and they make such a decision in, for example, early June, you may have had a chance to have additional conversations. Maybe not, I don't know, but it would be fine. I'm not expecting, you're outside of the period. So I will just ask for an update as to any updates that you may have.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or concerns before we adjourn for the day? I will see all of you in August. Thank you very much.
Thank you.